Hey art folks, it's Sade, and today I have another Swatch with Me video. This time it's going to feature the Eventually Everything Mixes colors. I've already done an in-depth review on these colors, and I'll have the link to that in the description below. If you want to see that, this is just going to be swatches of some new colors that I really love. And there's a bunch of them, so let's get going. So the first colors are colors in the Berlin set. M41 BV Gelb. This has PY 151 and PY 43. This is actually the color of the transport system in Berlin, and this is pretty spot on. It's also the brightest yellow color that I have from Eventually Everything Mixes, so if I'm working with this palette, I work with it a lot, and even though it is a bright yellow color, it still fits in with the overall mood of this brand, so that's really cool. Next is Kari Vez, so that's also really classic in Berlin and now all over Germany. I cannot eat currywurst because I am allergic to pork, but I've seen it and it looks a lot like this. It's also a really nice color. It's kind of similar to burnt sienna, but a little bit lighter and softer. I feel like it kind of looks like leather or skin, which makes sense because, I mean, it's sausage. Tia, I feel like this is maybe one of the most famous colors from Eventually Everything Mixes. It is just such a beautiful, strong, vibrant color. It's kind of unbelievable. This is a cobalt mixed with PBK10 for granulation, and it's just so moody. I really love it, even though, you know, I try not to use cobalts. Raw Sienna PY43, this is also a really beautiful color. It's also really opaque, so watch out for that if you're not looking for opaque raw siennas. But some siennas can be a bit desaturated and muddy, and that is definitely not a problem with this sienna here. PG24 Ultramarine Green. This is a rare color. I think that it is no longer even available from Kramer Pigments. So if you got your hot little hands on this, that is definitely a treat. Ultramarine Green is one of the various ultramarines. I think I have an example of each of the ultramarines right now. There is ultramarine blue, ultramarine green, ultramarine pink, ultramarine violet. I think those are the general different groups of ultramarines, even though I know most people mainly know about French ultramarine blue, which is a very specific color of ultramarine blue. Actually, next we have Ultramarine Bergblau, which is mountain blue. It's kind of the blue of a mountain sky. And that's just to show you like a different look at ultramarine blue, because most ultramarine blues that you get in most sets are really warm, almost blue violet. This is way closer to the green side and much lighter, but it still has that really nice texture and liftability. Next, we have 3 colors from the Earthly set. So it's Celadonite, Epidote, and Cote d'Azur Violet. So the Celadonite is a really interesting color. I don't use it as much as I should, but I'm looking at the swatch now and I'm like, that's so cool. It's got like this greenish brown that's floating on top of this pink underneath, and it's really soft. I feel like that's perfect for rocks or moss or all sorts of things. I have to play around with that color some more. Next we have Epidote, and that is your green earth, but this is actually a really nice one. It's not as hard to work with. It's not as easy to re-wet as her other colors, but it's still not as hard as some green earths that I've tried, and you actually do get a decent color payoff, so thank goodness for that. Then Cote d'Azur Violet is just, I mean, you guys know that I love Potter's Pink, and this is kind of reminiscent of Potter's Pink, except it's like even more dusty and it's slightly desaturated. I feel like I would like a skirt in this color. It seems like it would pair really nicely with a gold color or some kind of gold accent in a painting. Burnt green earth is just such an interesting color because I love that it is actually a green earth that's been burnt, and it feels slightly different than a raw sienna. These next colors, if you're not into browns, you're probably going to be like, oh my gosh, why are there so many browns? But these browns are really unique and different than other ones that I've seen before. So burnt green earth is actually a brown that I go to often when I'm looking for this particular shade and I don't want to try to approximate it by mixing. Lausitzer Ochre is, I think I've talked about this before, this is a brown that I really enjoy. It's a yellowish sort of orangey brown, and I also like it just because it is a brown from nearby where I used to live. It is quite difficult to re-wet, and it has this strange tendency to expand in the palette. So actually, it's taller than the half pan that it's in now because of its expansion. But aside from that, it's really cool color. Ray brown is actually fawn brown, and this is such a useful brown. When you want a cool brown that's not super duper dark, you don't looking for necessarily something like an umber, this is so useful. I really love this color. Especially if you like to paint animals, this is where it's at. So ochre Ivana, this is another yellow ochre type of color, but quite darker. It's kind of like if you took that raw sienna and turned it down a little bit. PBK 10 graphite. So this is such an interesting graphite because it's not similar to the water-soluble graphites that I've shown you before, which are, I feel like, more obviously graphite. This has a lot less sparkle to it. It's not erasable, and it feels much more matte, inky than the other graphites that I've tried. Chrome Eisenbein is a color I use all the time. When I am looking for extra granulation and color separation, this is it. This is so awesome. This is a hematite. I feel like I just love any hematite color at this point. Anytime I see a hematite, I'm just like, I want that color. Ultramarine Extra Dark. This is a deeper version of ultramarine, and this is more like your traditional ultramarine blue, which is much warmer and almost violet color, and it's really saturated. It's a really nice granulating color. Then you have your traditional burnt sienna, although I think that this is a little browner than many people would like their burnt siennas. Caput Mortem is just gorgeous. It is this curdled, deep, blood red wine color. It is such a joy to work with, and just kind of like goes bam on the paper. It's beautiful. Cypress Umber is a really nice, really cool brown, almost black color. So for when you don't quite want a black and you want a little bit more texture and moodiness, this is really awesome. Now, these next couple of colors are colors that I think are also really iconic for this line. Warlock and Flushgrün, the original. So Warlock actually has undergone a change and doesn't look quite like this anymore. This was the original Warlock, and I just absolutely love this color. It is so vibrant and so bright and has this color variation, and I've never seen any color that's been mixed like this before. It's one of those burn your eye out colors. The next Flushgrün is another burn your eye out color. Both of these colors have PB71 in them, so they have the zirconia cerulean, which is, one of the colors that I really love. So this color, Flushgrün Original, is this sort of acid green, which has the zirconium cerulean coming out of it. So it just adds even another layer of neon color. The Black Moon is a sort of indanthrone blue sort of color. It's a little darker, and it's got PB60 in it. It's PBK6. It kind of looks like a night sky. Its partner is the Blood Moon, which is PR101 and PB71, and it's another color that I use all of the time. I really love the color separation here. You have this darkness floating on top with a bit of red that comes out underneath, and it can make just the most interesting textures. Ludwig is actually a pigment that Ame made after one of her favorite bars, and it feels just like such a fun color. It is this sparkling green color, and I think it's the only color with mica in it in this set. I don't use this color a lot, but it's cute. Next is Peachy Violet. That's Peachy for Ame's cat. Flush is another cat in Ame's life. Peachy Violet feels a lot like Peachy. It is a purplish blue color, sort of color, almost like you took periwinkle and you made it quite dark. It's quite dusky and nice. Then we have Dusk Violet, PV15. This is a much more gentle purple color. It's very soft. It has like extremely light granulation. Kelpie is another brown that I absolutely love. It is PB26 and PBR7. And I feel like it is a really good complement with red brown. Whispered in My Ear is a color from the Oslo set, and this is a really beautiful green. It's sort of like a perylene green, or like a mix between a perylene green and a chrome oxide green. It's quite opaque, quite dark, and quite desaturated. Water by the Pier, I really love this color, and it really does feel like Water by the Pier. I feel like I said this in the first review, and my feelings are still the same. It's PB27, you know I love my passion blue, and PR101, so that helps to make it just a little bit deeper and darker and more nuanced. That's like one of the things that I really love about Ame's paints, is that they have just that little bit of nuance to change them into something unique. So earlier we had Flushgrün Original. This is Flushgrün Deep, because the color that she used for the yellow, she couldn't find it, and this was the result. So this is very similar to the other color. It's also an acid green color, but this one is more with like a mustard base instead of this almost like Hans yellow sort of base. And it is also really beautiful. I think it's actually slightly more textured than the Flushgrün Original. So those are all of my Eventually Everything Mixes colors. I love them a lot. They are amazing if you are looking for texture and unique colors. Many of the colors are a bit opaque, and I haven't had a lot of success trying to layer these colors extensively. They do layer, but they don't layer in the sort of way that I like to layer, which is probably way too many layers. But I still use these colors a lot, and I just often make sure to either limit my layering or add them towards the end of a painting. They always add something a little extra special. When I want to add something a little extra special, I often find myself coming to these paints. So I hope that you enjoyed this. Like I said, if you want to see a more in-depth review, definitely check that out. I have the link in the description, and I'll also have it on the end card. If you liked what you saw, please like, comment, subscribe. It really makes me happy when you do. And if you want to see what I'm up to, definitely become one of my patrons, and you'll get to know. Thank you so much to my patrons who are allowing me a little bit of space to start a couple of interesting projects that they seem excited about, and I'm excited about. And I hope that you enjoyed this. If you are interested in handmade watercolors, definitely subscribe because I have a bunch of handmade watercolor reviews coming up soon. And I'll have on my blog a huge list of all the handmade watercolor brands that I'm aware of. Definitely let me know if there's anybody that I left off of the list. And if you like handmade watercolor reviews, definitely check out the channel Hungry for Paint. I will have the link in the description below. She's awesome, doing really cool reviews also. Okay guys, thank you so much for watching. See you next time. And until then, be gentle with yourself. Bye.